Hello reptile entrepreneurs. This video starts your journey in creating your own website. This first video is actually a two-part series. This first video that we're going to do right now is going to get you a domain name. It's going to get you a hosting service, and we're going to get a template live on the web ready for you to customize. The second video, which will come right after, is going to be customizing that template. And so let's go ahead and get started with getting your domain name, hosting, and getting your template up live on the web. Now, the first thing we want to do when we start a website is figure out what we're going to call it. That's your domain name. And that's like mountaindragons.com, chameleonacademy.com, reptileentrepreneur.com. And you can have all sorts of different extensions, .info, .biz, .whatever. And so that is going to be something that's required of you for this first class, is to know which domain name you'd like. You can also bring a domain name that you have already purchased. Now, once we have the domain name, we need a place to put your website. And this is what's called a hosting provider. A hosting provider is a company that sets themselves up with a lot of memory and a lot of bandwidth for the internet. Now, this entire video is written down on the reptileentrepreneur.com website. You look under courses and find build a website. And so if your preferred learning style is reading, there you go, you've got it there. It also serves as a backup reference because sometimes I can say a whole lot more on there than I can in a video, because on a video, I have to keep people entertained. So to get our domain and hosting, we are going to go to a service called Bluehost. That is a hosting service that I have used for many years and I'm very happy with. I have a link that you can click. It's in the course or the description under this video. Often there's some sort of incentive attached to this link. Now, I'm not sure exactly what incentive there will be when you click that link. In the past, it's been like a $20 Amazon gift card, but whatever it is, I won't say anything about it. It'll just be a pleasant surprise. But click this link and we're going to be going to Bluehost and we are going to sign up for shared hosting. Now, you are going to be faced with a number of hosting plans. At this point, the basic is where we're going to start off. You can at any time increase the number of features in your hosting. The most important thing when you're doing hosting is that you get an SSL certificate. That is the security. That's the S at the end of HTTP. If you do not have an HTTPS website, then Google is not going to send people to your website. They're going to raise all sorts of security concerns and scare people away from going to your website. We need SSL. So whatever you get, just make sure it says that. Every one of these plans here at Bluehost has an SSL certificate attached to it. But if you are going with any other provider, make sure you have an SSL attached to your hosting. Some of these will have a free domain attached to the hosting site, and so that may be the best way to go. And don't worry if the packages that you see are different than the packages that you see on this video. These packages tend to shift a lot as for what is or isn't included, but as long as you have an SSL certificate in there, you're fine. And if you're going to be buying a domain name at this point, I suggest you go with one of the packages that offers a free domain name. Now, if you are interested in what all of these different options and features are, you can go to the course description on the reptileentrepreneur.com website, and they're described there. Now, as we go on, then we are going to be selecting a domain. Here, you're able to either buy a domain or else you can enter in a domain that you already own. So whichever is appropriate for you, do so. And in this example, I'm going to be getting mountaindragons.com. That's the name of a book that I sell. It's just as a demonstration. And hey, it's available. So when it is available, then you're going to be filling in all this information. Now, what happens when your domain name is not available? Well, you've got a number of choices. You can either come up with another domain name, or you can come up with another extension like .info, .biz. There's a myriad of extensions that you can select. But here's the thing to be careful about. You don't want to use the name of an established business. Now, you could be thinking, it doesn't matter, different industry, or maybe you'll get some traffic that was meant for them. You can steal that away. Be careful about that, because a confused customer is a customer that bounces from your website, and Google doesn't like people bouncing off your website. They say, oh, okay, so obviously this website isn't good. So be careful about using a name that's already been used, just with a different extension. Just do it strategically. Nothing says you can't do it, but be strategic about it. Don't try to be clever or steal traffic or any of that kind of stuff. Just make sure that it's a totally different industry. Okay, so once you find a domain name that's available, we're going to go ahead and get yourself a package. And we look at here, we have the Let's Encrypt SSL. Okay, excellent. That's what we need. With domains, I also want domain privacy, because it is public record who owns every website. And so if you want your contact information available to every marketer out there who wants to sell you stuff for your website, then you just go ahead and have your address out there. I did that once and I regret it. I got so much garbage from these people. And so from now on, I always go for domain privacy. And what this does is it puts a Bluehost address and contact information there in the public record. It is so worth it. Now, all these other things you don't necessarily need. I would say uncheck everything else. If you need it, you can add it later. One thing to note, down in package extras, it does say single domain SSL. You're saying, well, wait a minute, I got an SSL in the package information. What's the deal? Don't worry about it. It's just they add an extra warranty for the single domain SSL. You don't need it. Don't worry about it. You got what you need in the Let's Encrypt SSL that's part of your package. So decide how many months you want to buy up front. Obviously, they're going to try to make it attractive for you to buy as much upfront as possible. Do you want 1 year, 2 years, 4 years? But this introductory rate is just an introductory rate. Afterwards, it jumps up to whatever the normal plan is. And you can see that on the package page. Usually I go with 2 years. Unless I'm really confident about it, then I'll go ahead and do the 3 or 4 years. So then after that, enter in your payment information and accept their terms and conditions and submit. And you now own that domain name. Okay, it is time that you create an account here on Bluehost, and here is where you're going to create that account. It'll be under your domain name, and then you give yourself a password that you can remember, write it down somewhere. I'm going to create the account, and then I want you to go to the email that you entered in for your contact information and verify your email. This is important. You need to do this. This is a regulation for this Who is verification. So now we go to log into the account, and that's your domain name and then that password that we just wrote down. We're going to log in and we're going to create our website. And here's where we start. Now, I want to say these hosting providers want to make it as easy as possible for you to create your website. Excellent. And you can go ahead and go through the steps that they ask you, and all the questions they ask you, you can answer all of them. In this particular case, I am going to skip every one of these steps. It doesn't mean it's because they're not useful. It's because the people going through these steps may be working with another hosting provider. They may be working with Bluehost at some point where the options have changed. So what I'm going to do for my particular case for this tutorial is I'm going to skip all these steps, and then I'm going to show you how to do it once you get to the WordPress dashboard. Well, one important thing is when we go to this Bluehost My Sites portal is I want you to go to security. On security, you're going to see your SSL certificate. Let's encrypt. Turn it on. Click that so it says on. All right, so let's get to WordPress. Wait until they're done creating the website, and you are now in the WordPress dashboard. And this is where the magic happens. Now, looking at the left hand, there's a lot of stuff over there in the left hand column. We are going to clean that up a little bit before we dive in and try to build something. All right, so first thing I want to do is I'm going to clean up the plugins. Plugins are little computer programs that go in and help you do your website, and they're incredibly helpful. You will get a number of plugins automatically. And the thing is, I want to start off clean. You're welcome to hang on to all of them if you want to. I'm going to deactivate mine because that's going to clean up my dashboard, and I'm going to be able to add them in as I need it and as I can explain it. So you can hit the global check here, hit deactivate, although I think I'm going to I'd like to keep the Bluehost. That's worth keeping. So I want to do a little bit of housekeeping just to set the stage. First thing I'm going to do is go to settings, and under here, something called general. At the top, we have a site title. You want to say whatever you want to call your site. In this case, usually it's your domain name, and then a tagline. Just say what the site is about. This will show up on your homepage, but of course you can change it later. The administration email address, that's important. That's where a lot of things are going to go. Just make sure you realize what is there. You entered it in earlier, but that is where your contact information and things we're going to set up later are going to go. The next thing to look at is this time zone, UTC, Universal Time. I live in Los Angeles. I know that is UTC -8. But you don't have to Google that. You can go ahead and hit this downward chevron and search through and find a city next to you. For me, that is Los Angeles. And then everything else, hit save changes. And next, let's go to permalinks. This has to do with how your posts are going to be presented. We'll get into that later, but just make sure that post name is selected. What this does is it puts the title of your post. The URL is searchable by Google, and so we want to be able to put keywords into that URL. Like I said, we'll talk about this later. I'll explain it then, but just know right now, make sure it's selected at post name and hit save changes. And go see what our website looks like. It is unimpressive. All right, it's time that we make this website look a little bit decent. We are not going to do the full website today, but we are going to make sure it doesn't look pitiful. So how do we make sure it doesn't look pitiful? Well, that is where a theme comes in. A theme is like the wrapper for your website. It's like your house. You've got rooms, you've got bathrooms on the inside, but how are they decorated? Is it a craftsman? Is it a Victorian house? This is what themes do, and they do the exact same thing for your website. How do you want your website to look? Now, there are tens of thousands of themes out there to choose from, and it can get pretty overwhelming. For this demonstration and just starting off, the one thing you need to know is responsive. That's the one thing your theme has to have. And what that means is it will look different if it's on a computer or if it's on a smartphone. It will adjust to the device that it's being accessed on. That is critical in today's environment where actually most of your traffic is going to be on the phone. And that's something that we've got to remember. We're going to design on the computer, but then it's going to be viewed on the phone. So you'll see later we're able to view what it looks like on the phone. And so you got to get used to doing that because like for me, 70% of my traffic is via the phone. So to find a good theme, we're going to go to the WordPress dashboard and look for appearance. And from appearance, we go to themes. Now, you may not see a lot here, but if you go up here and click WordPress.org themes, just click that, and all of a sudden, you're going to see everything that's available to you. Now, you're going to see a combination of free and premium. Premium means you've got to pay for it. When it comes to a theme, I would be very careful doing something for free, unless you know how they get their money, because you want a theme that's going to be supported and updated. Now, luckily, it's pretty easy. You just find a free theme that has a premium upgrade option, and you know that's how they make their money. So they want to give you a free theme that gives you a basic taste for the theme, and then you can give them money to get the pro version. When we come to themes and plugins and stuff for your website, yes, you can get a lot of free stuff out there, but it is good to get the paid stuff because you know the paid stuff is going to be updated. It's going to be kept compatible with WordPress as it updates. There's going to be security patches given to those plugins and those themes. When you're dealing with your website that is essentially your income, you want to leave as little to chance as possible. And there's one other thing I use when I select my theme is I go to YouTube and I type in the theme name. If I get a deluge of responses of all these people who have done tutorials on the theme, then I know that's a good one, because you will find whenever you're building a website, your greatest help will come from YouTube and people who have run into the same problems as you and have created solutions. Many of these themes get so complicated that even the customer service isn't sure how to handle everything. One thing that I really enjoyed, Porto, is incredibly complex. And I remember I had a problem. Customer service couldn't help me. I figured it out and I had to tell customer service how to use their product. So I make sure that I am using the power of YouTube, and I have selected for this demonstration the theme Astra. It is responsive, it has a premium upgrade, and when I type it into YouTube, there is a whole lot of people that have done tutorials on Astra. So you're going to be okay with the free version of Astra. In fact, you're going to be more than okay. It's an incredibly powerful free theme. If you like Astra, I encourage you to upgrade in the future, but it's going to be a while before you need to think about doing that. Now, just so you know, we're going to be building nichecontentcreator.com. This is the site for my new podcast. I will be using a more complicated professional theme for this podcast website. So when you go to nichecontentcreator.com, you won't see the Astra theme. I am just using it to demonstrate how to build up the website. But the Astra theme is a wonderful theme, and so it could serve you well for the rest of your website. I just want some very special podcasting features that this specialized theme will offer me. And that goes to show another point, how just because you start with a theme doesn't mean that you're stuck with that theme for the rest of your life. You can change it whenever you want to. Yes, there is a little bit of checking to make sure everything translated correctly, but you can change themes. So don't worry about committing to anything because you're not committing to anything. We're just going to start with Astra. And believe me, there's going to be more than enough features in Astra to keep us busy for a while. So what we're going to do is go to Themes, WordPress.org Themes. We can press that button and you can search a whole lot of websites. Assuming you want to go to Astra, like I have, you can search themes and type in Astra. And there it is. Astra comes up, and we're going to install it. And once it's installed, we're going to activate it. And once you do that, you're going to notice that an Astra entry has been added to your dashboard. You can click that, and there's Welcome to Astra. Our first step with Astra is looking at these useful plugins. We are going to go to Starter Templates. Go ahead, click Install and activate that. And that essentially is going to build a website for you. Now, not the content, but the structure of the website. You're going to have a homepage, you're going to have a contact us and such. That is all in Starter Templates. So let's go ahead and take a look at all those starter templates. By the way, Astra is going to be asking you what kind of builder you want to use. And this is a good thing because these are professional builders that are going to help you construct your website. I select Elementor. It's one of the most popular builders, and it just happens to be compatible with the theme that I want to do later. And so everybody wins with Elementor. Select Elementor. Now here is a whole lot of options for website theme, and you can go here and select whether you want to look at a business type theme, an e-commerce type theme, a blog type theme. Now there isn't necessarily anything special. You can turn any one of these themes into a business theme, an e-commerce theme, a blog theme, it doesn't matter. But you want to go through here and see if you can find one that you like. The ones that say premium mean they have a little bit of extra complication to them, a little bit extra features to them, and you're going to pay for that. If you find one you really like and it is a premium, pay it. They really aren't that expensive, especially not for what it is. The website is going to be your representation in the digital world, and so it's worth it to get what makes you happy. Now for this demonstration, I'm going to select this outdoor adventure theme. I like it. It's got a couple of interesting features to it. It's going to be a perfect demo theme. So click that and we can get started. Ooh, look at that. All right, we have the structure up, and now it's time to make it ours. Now, I would like to tell you how to create a profile so you don't have to log into your WordPress dashboard through the Bluehost portal. And this will allow you to go straight to your website just by typing your URL, say mywebsite.com/wp-admin. And that's going to give you a login site to log in to your WordPress dashboard. So to create a username, you go to users in your dashboard here, and you're going to see that there's already a user here in the administrator role, and that was set up by Bluehost. Now, if you want to use that username, you can go ahead and use that username. I don't like the one that they gave me. And so just go in and add user. And when you do that, you select the username you want because you can't change that username later. And then fill in all the information. And the password. Make the password strong. You don't want to mess around with this because hacking of websites is huge. People do this all the time, and that's going to be a big problem. And we're going to have to get into some special security to keep your website safe. So pick your username, and this is just going to be something that you log into your account with. So don't get too stressed over what it's going to be. The important thing is that you remember your username, or you store it somewhere, your username and your password. Now, you see any password here, don't worry. I am not using these passwords that I'm demonstrating with because there's last thing I need is everybody to know what my password is to get onto my site. So once you give yourself, fill this all in, give yourself a very strong password, then change the role to administrator, and that's going to allow you complete control over the website. Of course, anybody who logs into your website for whatever reason will be as a subscriber, the lowest, so they don't have power to do anything. But you want to be a admin, and so put in the admin. Click Add New User. So now when you want to get into your website, you don't have to go through the Bluehost portal. You can just type in your website name.com/wp-admin, and then you're going to get this login screen. Put in your username, put in your password, and you are good to go. All right, as promised at the beginning of this video, I have gotten you live on the web, but of course, this isn't very satisfying because it's not customized. It doesn't have your name on it, your pictures on it, or your content. The next video that you can click on here is going to go over how to do all of that. So go ahead, click here, and let's get on with making this website yours.